Hello everybody out there in Salem. Good morning. This is Bill from Salem Digest again. And we're here with Acting Mayor Bob McCarthy, who's in his last couple of days here in the City Hall corner office. And we just thought we'd have a short chat with you this morning. Mayor Bob, how you doing?
Good, Bill.
What's going on?
Not much. How you doing?
You know what? It's a nice day out here.
It is.
So, what was this? 4 months here.
January 4th, I think I started. So, yeah, it's almost 5.
Now, you're a guy that's well known for, in your own words, for wearing your heart on your sleeve. You've been known to get emotional in a moment. And the night that the council selected you to do this, you did wear your heart on your sleeve a little bit.
I tend to.
Yeah, how you feeling about it now?
It's been an eye-opening experience, and it's something I would never trade for anything. I'm very gracious and respectful of the position and what it stands for, and I'm also very very appreciative for the opportunity that the council gave me to step up and do this role. I never backed away from it. It's, I walked through the door, it was on a Wednesday night that I got sworn in, and on Thursday I walked through the front door. It was like my wife sent me with my backpack and a box, and it was just like first day of school. And it was and Jen,
Did she drop you off at the front door?
No, she didn't drop me off at the front door. I came in the front door, but Jen greeted me, and it was the first time in, as long as I was a councilor, I didn't have to ask permission to go into the mayor's office, where we are now. I came right in, sat down, and I wasn't sitting down for less than 5 minutes. And, Dustin Luca from the Salem News wanted to know come in and talk to me. And I was like, come on in.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. So and since day one, I just hit the ground running, just kept doing it. It's been a great experience. I threw my name into the ring in the special election. It didn't work out. Didn't complain. It's just, I was tasked with a job, in a unique situation where, Kim was elected to be lieutenant governor, and, to have to follow the rules of the charter in the state. And we, the clerk came up with a timeline, and, it was quite evident from day one that my main charge was going to be to, keep City Hall moving, but at the same time, prepare a budget, which, I give a lot of credit to Anna Friedman, our finance director, and her team, and all the staff. We worked very diligently for the last 4 months, and we submitted the framework for it yesterday for council deadline, and the budget will be in front of them on Thursday, and the council will start deliberating the budget next week. So.
Well, let's talk about that budget. I'm going to move a little bit here. This is the budget here, right?
Yep, it's right there.
So that's your city budget right there.
And the one on top is the capital plan. I haven't incorporated yet into it.
So I remember getting my first budget when I was on the city council. I was surprised at how, kind of hefty.
Yeah.
Probably a quarter pound or half pound of paper in there.
Yeah.
Looking at the city budget from this perspective of the mayor's office, how much different was that than looking at it from the city council's seat?
It's the same issues, but it's a different lens.
Yeah.
Because you're on the administrative side of things, so you have to make the administrative decisions that the council will then look at and debate whether or not you made the right frame. You framed the budget correctly with respects to the decisions you made. So it's about making the decisions as opposed to reacting to the decisions, but the issues are all the same. Early on in the conversations with Anna, we developed an approach that was going to be level service. I think we only the full-time equivalents, full-time employees on the city side. We kept flat. We just one position. There were 2 part-time positions that we merged to make a full-time position to make that work. Other than that, we were, went across the board with all non-union employees got a COLA, and we did some salary adjustments. We tried to keep the line with respects to no real big jumps. There's a couple special circumstances where we did salary surveys and we brought someone in maybe a couple of years ago that was obviously, way underpaid, and the concern was that, that person would leave. So we adjusted per the salary survey, and we were pretty diligent about making sure we weren't spending, outside of our means. I mean, there's a lot going on right now in the world with regards to, the bigger picture talk of this, the national level about, the debt ceiling and interest rates and going into a recession. So we look to not add a ton of debt to the long term. We tried to be diligent, and I, one of the things we've figured out early on is, okay, let's finish the projects that we got in the books. It's always nice to keep the ball moving, but at the same time as we wanted to make sure that the projects that we're almost to the finish line, we want to make sure that they're funded, and if they needed additional funds, gap fund them with ARPA money or whatever resources were available to make sure we get these projects completed, and then take a step back and obviously let the Mayor Pangalo come in and then work with a framework of moving forward for his budget for next year. But even with us not taking on a lot more of incurred debt, even the bands, even with the interest rates up, we still, not borrowing as much money as we traditionally borrow, we are going to end up probably still paying almost an extra $90,000 to $100,000 just because the interest rates went up. But it was my objective was to make sure that we didn't incur a lot more debt while we're trying to work through this transition. So that's what we did.
All right, so let's take this down to this conversation more to a personal level. You're a family man.
Yep.
You're a big-time family man. You're very, very active with your boys and your wife.
Yep.
The night that you got appointed to this, that the council put you in a position, they were happy for you. They were emotional with you. What kind of sacrifices do you think that you've had to make and they've had to make over the years with basically, how long you've been? 18 years, 16 years?
16, and then when I first ran, so I was 2 years before, so I've been, I ran the first time and, I lost the Ward 1 seat to Lucy.
Yeah.
Lucy was a one-term council, and then I decided to jump in, and Lucy and I laughed about it. Probably the biggest mistake of my life was to jump in against Lucy. But then, fast forward 2 years after that, she had some family situations where she decided that she needed to take a step back, and we've become good friends since. I mean, I go to the Point neighborhood meetings, the last Monday of every month, and it's been a great, it's been great working with her, and but it's been almost. I mean, this will be I'm 16th year serving, and it'd be with the 2 years that I ran against Lucy, I lost, but then Mayor Driscoll put me on the Open Space and Rec Committee. We wrote the 5-year action plan with Open Space and Rec, so I haven't stopped for like 18 years.
So 18 years, and basically in what it's supposed to be a part-time position, but as you know, and as I know, being a city councilor is not always a part-time position. It can take up a lot of time in your week, in your month.
Yeah.
What kind of sacrifices did it's time? Your family lost time with you in the evenings a lot.
Yep.
Meetings that you went to.
Yep.
Your boys, of course, they seem well adjusted and they grew up. But
it's
how do you feel about that trade-off?
I wouldn't trade the time for anything, and the experiences of the relationships I've made over the years. But I mean, obviously, it's one of those things when you got to go to a meeting, and your boys playing winter ball. Back in the day, they used to be able to play baseball
In the field house?
No, it was actually they played. I call it winter ball. It was like fall ball. Is a better term. They played baseball in the fall.
Oh, okay.
And so I had to go to a meeting, and I called my wife up, and I says, I got to go to this meeting. I'll pick up dinner on the way home. And I stopped. I stopped down the Witch's Brew to pick up some takeout on the way home, and my wife pulls up front, and my boy ran out of the car, and he gave me the baseball, his first home run. swore never to do that again.
Yeah, so it's a lost moment.
Yeah.
Which you
Which
still
was-
had a good moment.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you maybe get emotional.
I mean,
So you do make sacrifices when you miss things like that. And I learned from a good friend of mine, Joe Keefe, God rest his soul. Family first, and I preach that to anybody who sits in that room across the hall. Is what we do is very important, and I take what I do very seriously. But at the same time, is you got to remember your family, because you can't do this job without your family. And with the sacrifices they make with time and time away, and you sometimes you miss those special occasions, and you have to learn to balance it and realize that there's a lot of people put a lot of pressures on you. Not so much pressures; they have a lot of expectations of you. Like when to go to certain events and do certain things, and you have to realize that.
and to answer your phone no matter the
Yeah,
time of day.
answer your phone no matter what, but it's also it's about making the choices and realizing that you can't be everywhere at once, and you're always going to have there's always going to be expectations that you get an invite, or there's going to be an event that you should be at, and sometimes you have to balance those with the trade-offs of the fact that I got emotional when my kid hit his first home run and I missed it. You don't want to do those things, because in the grand scheme of things, your family comes first. But in being an elected official, then your constituents are a close second, and you want to make sure you balance those and understand that those choices that you make sometimes that you may miss a meeting, and it's not because you didn't feel up to it. There's something else going on, but you don't need to explain yourself to somebody who's like why you missed a meeting, and so. It's tough, but it's there's been that was just one example, the first example that made me really realize that that's what I had to heed Joe's words as families first, and I preach it all the time.
Yeah, and that's good advice.
Yeah.
The also good advice that Joe gave, and others also, that sometimes I think city council is, in the past few years especially, lose track of, is no matter how ugly it gets in the chambers, when the meeting's over, it's over. Walk out as friends.
You leave it at the threshold.
And I think that's become more difficult in recent years than it used to be, to my observation.
Whether or not I agree with someone politically or personally, you always have to respect the fact that they were elected to the same seat you were elected to. So they have a constituency that elected them, and the respect goes with the seat that they're elected to and the position that they hold. I've always, for me, my philosophy as a city council has always been, I always put the body first. The representative body of the city council is what needs to be held to the highest standard. So I'm one of 11. We all each have a vote, but at the same time as, the body gets represented out in the public as a whole. Sometimes people want to say, oh, this council did this, or this council did that, or this vote that went down this way. I'm telling you right now, 5 years after the fact, they don't remember which council voted which way. They say the city council did this. So the perspective is that you're part of the process, and you're part of the team that's in that room assembled to do the work of the people. And sometimes you're going to disagree. That's the way it is. I mean, I get together with my family at Thanksgiving. It's all hunky dory for the first 20 minutes, and then afterwards, that's what happens. And it's like having another family in there, And so
yes.
You have to realize that sometimes you're going to disagree, and sometimes it's not going to be as as jovial as you think it would be. But at the same time, you have to leave it inside. I call it leaving it at the threshold. Once you leave, it's like you got to be able to pick it, because I learned from a lot of very experienced councils when I got on. I was very fortunate to be able to sit in a room with them, and the lessons that I learned were was always to listen and learn. At first, when I first got in, it was you sat back and you listened, you understood what the issue is, and you learned from the experience. But at the same time, as you had to you learned the respect of the room, and you learned that you can't turn it off. You're a council of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and sometimes people say, "Oh, I'm not a city councilor." Right now, you're always a city councilor, And so you have to remember that you're always representing that office, and sometimes it becomes it becomes challenging to be. It takes a lot of time, and we all do the best we can, and you have to realize that everyone has a vision.
And despite that, you have to deal with some unhappy people.
Yeah, you do, and you just have to deal with it, and you just let it. You deal with it the best you can, and you just keep moving forward, and hope in the end you make the right choices, and you're evaluated on the body of your work. So
let's kind of lighten the mood a little bit here.
Okay.
We got all of these paintings.
Yeah.
All here. We got George Washington up here, and that one's been restored. And we got Norman Reed.
Yep.
From the Reed Fund here.
Oh.
And we got all of these.
Leverett Saltonstall, first mayor,
yeah,
over there.
We got all of these mayors over here. Do any of these paintings ever look at you or talk to you when you're in here late at night?
The first week I was in office, it's funny that where the desk is positioned now in the office, it's like every mayor up on the wall. They're all, if you look at them, all their eyes are kind of turned towards the desk, and it's like they're watching it. It's like, okay, you're in the desk now. What are you gonna, you're gonna do the right thing. So it's we're in the second oldest active city hall, but I'm hearing
that too.
I'm hearing that the first active city hall has now become a museum or something, and they only do meetings a couple times a year or something.
I've heard that.
So
I've heard that.
we might be, right here, you and I might be saying that we're now the oldest active city hall, but there's a ton of history in this room, and of course you and I've had this conversation. I take what I do very seriously, but if you can't have fun doing it, don't do it.
Don't do it.
So of course, when my birthday came around, I had to add my portrait to the wall real quick. I did that as a joke to my staff, because I come in here, everyone's saying to me, where's Kim's portrait? Because Kim's now lieutenant governor, so sometime soon she's gonna have a portrait done. It's gonna put on the wall. They're asking me what my portrait was gonna be. It was one of those conversations that someone new would come into the office. Probably every other week, someone would say, "Oh, you're gonna put a portrait on the wall." So when my birthday came around, I ordered it online and I stuck it on there. It's like a mood. It breaks the ice, so to speak, when it comes to meetings.
It eases up a formal room.
I mean, I'll be taking it with me, but it was just one of those things that.
You're not going to leave that there?
There's some city hall departments are vying for it. They want to know if I'll leave it in city hall so they can put it in their offices. We'll do something with it.
I think it needs to hang up at we still have the Black Cat restaurant up there at the high school, the culinary program?
Yes, we do. Actually, the culinary program at the high school, I don't know if you've been up there to see the new program. It's spectacular.
That's
it really
where it
is.
belongs.
That's where it belongs.
That's probably where it
I'll have to talk to Dr. Drake about that. I don't think they like it up there, but there's been a couple of departments in the city hall that jokingly want to keep it in here. So
fair enough. So. Again, historic office. You fixed this clock. How did you fix that clock?
Oh well, it's amazing when you become mayor. You have a staff now, and you sit at a meeting, and you're like, well, can we just in the city council chambers, the clock on the wall's got batteries.
Right.
Like if someone would replace the batteries, and I got to notice from being in here that the arms were moving, and it was like obviously at one point there was a power outage, and the thing was off by whatever amount of hours, and Jonathan came in with a big ladder, and he was getting ready to take it off the wall. I said, "John, before you take it off the wall, I've seen those arms move. Can we reset it?" And it's been working since. So it's like one of those. It's a beautiful. The room has so much history in it. It's just ridiculous. It's unbelievable. I have no idea how old that clock is, but it's a beautiful piece. And so.
Is that a marble front or a granite front?
I think it looks like it could be marble. I'm not really 100% sure. It could be a reproduction. I'm not sure, but it fits the office. So. Before we took it down, I was going to make sure that it worked. So.
I'm a little confused. We had a basketball player in this office for 15, 16 years. She couldn't have just jumped up there and adjusted those hands?
I don't know. Every once in a while, Mayor Driscoll would get someone would come in with some new funky game or something like that, and she was very competitive. We were
I know that. Yeah.
She had some paddles with the Velcro balls on it or something. And it was before a meeting, and someone had dropped them off to her, and Council Turiel and I came in, and next thing you know, we were batting the ball around. Yeah. She's great, but.
Well, almost done. New mayor coming in.
Yep.
Getting sworn in Saturday. Yep. What's the one thing that you're going to take away from this experience more than anything else?
The people. It was, there's a certain, is the people and those are, those are things that, apart from the day-to-day, what anyone would expect a mayor to do, meetings with staff, meetings with, whomever wants to come in the office, whether it's the chamber, whether it's the partnership, or whether it's, John Keenan from Salem State, you're going to have all those meetings, but it's like all of a sudden you get the phone call and it's, oh, can you come to the XYZ school and read a book to the second graders? I just love that. I just think that's great. I mean, all of a sudden I got invited to read a poem at the Penn for the Poetry Festival. And I'm sitting there next to the two chairs down from the former poet laureate of the United States. He was poet laureate under Bill Clinton for like, and so it was just, it was a personalized poem, and so I read it by Rudyard Kipling.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there was a bunch of us that read poems, and it's like just to be able to do things like that, and to represent the city on a different level, to go to different events, whether it's for the chamber or for Rotary, the Creative Collective, just to go out and represent and talk and reach out to the people and make them understand that this office is sets the agenda and the vision for the city, but at the same time is you can't do that in a vacuum. You have to be able to get out and reach the people.
Absolutely.
And actually have to be out there and engaged. And I'm a people person, so I like to get out. I like to talk to people. You're not going to agree with them all the time, and we're not going to, but at least be able to get out there and be seen, be heard, and listen. So that was, I enjoyed that part of it. I really enjoyed, as much as it's you pointed to the book, it's a ton of work. I really enjoyed working with the finance team and the department heads and having them come in and try to for 15 years I was on the other side of it, and to be on this side of it, to really understand where the decisions are made and where, sometimes it's, you look at it from the council side, and the decisions about what's going to be cut or what's going to be added have already been made. So, the budget, when it comes before the council, is already, the decisions have been made to balance it. So it comes through a balance.
Now,
And
next week,
next week. It'll be,
you're on the other side again.
yeah.
You're going to pick apart your own budget?
Nope.
You sure?
I'm sure.
You're not going to disagree with yourself?
Actually, to be honest, I'm not actually on the fine because all the committees have already been set. I don't
Okay.
sit on any committee, so I'll come back and I will be. I'll wait to see what happens, but I'll let the powers to be in there
Do their thing?
pick it apart. I've president. Mayor-elect Pangallo, Dominic's been in. I had him in last Thursday. Sat down with the finance director and myself. We spent 6 or 7 hours on Thursday. We ran through the budget, and then he came back on Friday, and we spent another 2 hours with Anna, and we had the opera team, Nick and Dave, down that have been running the opera, and we talked capital plan and opera. So we, Dominic and I have spent about 8 or 9 hours on the budget and capital stuff, so he's understanding where the decisions were made and how we got to the balanced budget. And then he and I will be sitting down the next day or two for lunch or something to just kind of debrief as to what I've seen, what I've heard,
Yeah.
what my thoughts were, and so he's bringing in his team on Tuesday. And so I wish him well. I mean, it's he was in the office for 10 years, so I'm sure he'll just hit the ground running. He'll do great, and so I wish him all the best.
Well, he's got an understanding. So, 18 years basically involved in city government, 16 years in the city council, in various roles, administration and finance.
Administration
Many
finance
times,
like three or four times.
Yeah,
City
yeah.
council president 3 times.
Yeah.
Chaired OLA,
Yep.
3 times or so.
And now 4 months in the mayor's office.
4 months in the Minnesota.
Now you return to the city council
Uh-huh.
to finish out the term.
Uh-huh.
We do have elections this year. What's next for Bob McCarthy?
I will not be pulling papers next month to run for re-election.
You will
No.
not be pulling papers next month to
Nope.
run for re-election.
What you touched on earlier, I'll never say never. But in politics, you never say never.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So I don't know what the next chapter holds for me. I really don't. But for right now, I'm going to stay where I am, and we'll see how that goes. And then I wish anyone who pulls papers in Ward 1 all the luck in the world. It's a very diverse ward, and there's a lot going on in the ward. I will, after 16 years on the council and being involved, as you said, I'm gonna take a step back, and I'm gonna be a little selfish.
You should be. You should
I'm gonna
take
take
a
some
step
time
back.
for myself.
Absolutely. Back porch, something to eat, a little beer.
Nah,
whatever.
I don't know. It's gonna be more of a. It's been alluded to that I have, my health isn't the best, which
There's been talk.
there's been talk. And I'll tell people right now, I'm as healthy as an ox, but my knees are shot. And my knees were shot, my knees were shot prior to COVID, and I didn't do anything about them, and they've just gotten worse. And when I finally saw my doctor, was sitting in a chair just like I am now, and he came in and sat down, and he looked at me and said, "I'm amazed." And I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well," he goes, "Have you seen your x-rays?" I said, "No." He says, "Well, the fact that you're sitting in that chair with your legs bent, you're bone on bone in both knees, and they both need to be replaced at some point. We can do a cortisone shot."
Both in that boat.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I've let that as they've gotten worse. It's affected me health wise, but I'm still healthy as an ox. All the people at home, don't worry about me. I'm okay. But my knees are bad. As stairs become more and more difficult, and now inclines on hills become more
Yep.
difficult because as you walk the bone on bone. And to be honest with you, in this position as mayor, you go to a lot of events, and when I stand at events, my knees lock.
Stand is the worst.
My knees lock, and when I lock, I bear it out, and when I bear it out, the pain just gets to me, and I start sweating profusely because what I really should be doing is sitting down, and taking the pressure off my knees, but I
Yep.
grin it and bear it, so to speak.
Keeping them bent.
Yeah, so it's I'm gonna I've always focused on my family. I'm gonna refocus on my family, and I'm gonna refocus on myself. Take some time, and then we'll see what happens. I never say never, but for right now, it's just like after spending 16 years on the council and then coming over to here, it's been a great experience. I wouldn't trade these 16 years for anything. I wouldn't trade the experiences. I've met a lot of great people. You don't get into this business, so to speak, or this I don't even call it a profession. You don't even get into this this type of job trying to get into with the expectation that you're going to make friends.
Yeah.
You're doing the work of the people, and you're lucky if you can make 51% of them happy, so you get reelected.
Absolutely.
And so but unexpectedly, I've made some. I don't say unexpectedly, but fortunately, over the course of my 60 years, I've made some really great friends. I've fostered some great relationships with people and organizations, and I wouldn't trade those for anything. And but it's just, for me, it's like after 16 years, let's give someone else a shot, see what they do, and then, like I said, I'll never say never. So you never know.
Fair enough. Got anything to say to the people of Salem before we shut it down?
I would just want to say, as I've affectionately been referred to as Mayor Bob, I want to say thank you for the opportunity that the council bestowed on me to be acting mayor for the last 4 or 5 months. To the residents of Ward 1, I want to thank them for putting me in that position for 16 years. And as just stated with Bill, that Come June 1st, I think is when you can pull papers. I will not be pulling papers to seek re-election, so I wish whomever decides to pull papers all the best. And all Ward 1's got a lot of issues going along, and first and foremost is the wind marshalling yard,
Yep.
and then the potential development of Shetland and everything. I could go on and on. It's not just unique to Ward 1; it's the city. There's a lot that's going to be happening in the next couple of years, and I wish the new administration all the best. And anything I can do to help, I will. And so,
Fair enough.
fair enough.
All right, guys, that's it. This is William Legault of Salem Digest in cooperation with Salem Access TV at City Hall in the mayor's office with Mayor Bob. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Great.